Kinda Murdery is sponsored by helladoge.com. That's HELLADOGE.com. The only social media website that pays 80% of its profits out to real users in real Dogecoin just for doing what you do anyway. It's a blast on there, guys. Get out of the Facebook game. Get into the crypto game. helladoge.com.
Warning. Kinda Murdery contains adult themes, explicit language, and descriptions of violence. It is not suitable for anyone, and we recommend you stop listening now.
California's rugged and scenic northwestern corner is the beginning of the great Pacific Northwest. A region of untamed and primitive beauty.
Humboldt County Sheriff's Department has now joined efforts with the Arcata Police.
Growers living off the grid. Humboldt County also has the highest rate of missing person cases in the state, where 60% of marijuana is grown in the United States.
There's a lot of evil here. A lot of evil.
This is Kinda Murdery, and you're entering the Emerald Triangle. Wow, that was nuts. Hey everybody, welcome to Kinda Murdery. I'm your host, Zevon Odelberg. Thank you for deciding to be here. Today, we're going to travel to the town of McKinleyville, California in Humboldt County. And this time, guys, I got the Humboldt County right. This is Humboldt County, California, not Humboldt County, Nevada.
Home sweet home.
That's right. When I was 22 years old, I got my 2 front teeth punched out by some McKinleyville High students.
What do you think's going on with those kids right now?
You mean the kid who knocked my teeth out? I'm wearing his face like a Davy Crockett hat. His micro penis is the tail of my coonskin cap.
Wow.
All right, so it is September 14th, 1914. I just told you a real life story from my life about violent teenagers in the town of McKinleyville, California. So now we're going to go back 108 years, and I'm going to tell you another story about a violent teenager in the town of McKinleyville, California.
Hit me with it. Hit me with it right in the teeth.
September 14th, 1914, 16-year-old boy, son of a Danish father. His name is Hans Keir. His father's name is Hans Keir Sr. Hans Keir walks into his home in Dow's Prairie in McKinleyville. His mother has her back to him. She's putting dinner plates on the table, and he shoots her right in the back of the head with a bear rifle. Mom falls dead.
This is like that Doors song. Mother, I'm going to... You know, the end?
Yeah, that's a heavy song. And this is a heavy story. This is not a funny story, really. It is a bizarre as hell one, though. He shoots his mother right in the back of the head. Right there after, his father, Hans Sr., comes home, walks in, sees his dead wife and his son with the rifle, understandably becomes alarmed, runs out of the house, falls over dead with a bullet in his brain when he's about 15 yards from the front door. When the authorities find him, they find a bullet hole in his right arm, a bullet hole in his left arm, a nasty bullet hole wound that penetrates his knee and comes out of the calf of his right leg. And notably, he has a bullet hole in the back of his skull with an exit wound coming out of his face.
That is one magic bullet.
And there are gunpowder burns around his hair and scalp, indicating that the rifle barrel was put up to the back of his head and he was shot with this high-powered rifle, execution style at point-blank range. So what actually happened was his son did not shoot him in the head from 15 yards away. His son shot him in both arms and the leg, and then as his father was lying on the ground, walked up cold as ice, put the rifle barrel to the back of his dad's head and shot him. in the back of the head, execution style, exit wound out the eyeball. Just heavy, heavy, dark stuff here.
So what caused it? Video games? Who can we blame?
So, right, that's exactly the discussion I want to have, actually. But let's put a pin in that, and because there's more. And I want to finish describing events, and then, yes, let's talk about that. So now his older brother, Hans's older brother, Chris, comes home, and he starts to unhitch his horse. Hans comes out of the house as if nothing's happened and starts to help his brother with the horses, putting the horses away in the barn. Chris goes to the hay stall, has a pitchfork, starts pitching hay into the horse stalls, and that's when Hans comes back with the rifle and opens fire. Hits Chris, grazes his right cheek, hits him in his left arm. Chris at this point runs away and manages to escape. Next, there's a second older brother, comes home from working in the fields, walks into the house, finds his mother dead. Then Hans walks in, shoots his brother Matt in the shoulder, like a bad wound in the muscle and meat of the shoulder. But Matt manages to run away, and he goes to get help from his neighbors, Perry and Lloyd Record. So Matt, Perry, and Lloyd, the grimmest Three Stooges ever.
Did you call it Record? Well, instead
maybe
of record?
It is Record. Their last name is Record. I don't know
Play
how
the
to
record.
pronounce it correctly. They all walk into the house to find Chris, who you'll remember was just grazed with a couple of bullets, wrestling with Hans. And Hans is kicking, biting, and clawing like a wild animal. Eventually, he is overpowered by the other three men, and they tie him up with rope. Then the sheriff arrives and takes Hans to the jail in Eureka. It turns out that Matt Keir's shoulder wound is so bad that they have to amputate his arm. Chris has a bullet graze on his cheek and on his side, but is basically okay.
R.I.P. Jack Offhand.
Yeah. And R.I.P. Hans Hansen Keir, 67 years old, the father, and native of Denmark, and 56-year-old Mrs. Keir, are murdered by their 16-year-old son, Hans Jr., in what's described as a temporary bout of insanity. Bizarrely, when Hans is taken to the jail by the sheriff, he now seems to be totally normal, rational, and sane. As far as anyone can tell. And the story that he tells is that he came home to find that robbers had killed his father and mother, and then thinking that his brothers were those robbers, he shot them.
I believe him. It's a Jussie Smollett.
It's the Menendez brothers' defense, like 65 years early.
Yeah.
Well, nobody's buying what he's selling.
We got to change that today.
Yeah.
I'm going to get his conviction overturned. It's the right thing to do.
I know. I don't even know what to say right now because this is supposed to be a show where we find crazy crimes that we can kind of chuckle about. This one's pretty grim.
But so here's an uplifting tale.
Yeah, uplifting tale of murdering your whole family, like Itachi Uchiha from Naruto. That's a very popular Japanese anime for anyone who's unaware.
I'm not a virgin, so I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, I'm a born-again virgin. I had lots of sex, and then I started watching anime. Now I'm a born-again virgin.
It feels so good. Anime's sweet. I like anime.
Yeah. Only 11 days later, 6 doctors judge Hans Keir to be insane, and he is confined to the ward for the criminally insane at the Napa State Mental Hospital.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before where somebody gets sent up for murder and within a few months or within a year, they've already been executed. In this case, kid kills his entire family. 11 days later, they say, yep, he's nuts, and he's already in the asylum.
You know, it's just the opposite of what you would assume.
Right. What you would assume is that we were capable of doing things far quicker now with all of our technology, but it makes you wonder about the paralysis of analysis, the way that having so much more information and capability leaves us frozen in inaction. How long today would it be between murdering your whole family and even going to any kind of a trial or what have you, let alone they just said, okay, well, sure, he is underage, but they just said, yep, he's nuts, and they packed him away in less than 2 weeks. I don't even understand. How does anything happen that fast in 1914? I mean, they were still riding horses and freaking buggies in 1914. And then the other one is, this is the third story we have told on this show where somebody has escaped from one of these Northern California mental hospitals.
Jesus.
Yeah. Very first episode of the show, there was the torch fiend Gilbert Colley who escaped from the Mendocino Hospital for the criminally insane. Another episode you and I did. Do you remember the Ballad of Bandit Crowley? That whole treasure hunting thing? And the guy got caught when he came in to cast his vote because he just had that much civic duty. He also... These were
different times. They were far more honorable, even the criminals.
Yeah. He also escaped from the, that was the Mendocino Hospital for the criminally insane. But here we have the Napa Hospital for the criminally insane. And 10 years later, almost to the day, he killed his family on September 14th, 1914. On September 3rd, 1920, he escapes from the Napa Valley Mental Hospital. I love a good prison break, asylum break. I mean, in fact, when I was reading this story, I almost walked away from it because I was like, this is just too dark. And then I went, wait a minute, he breaks out 10 years later? I gotta do it.
Yeah, I mean, what did he do?
I'm so glad you asked.
Did you go out and get a cheeseburger? Or do you go back for some murder?
I think the reason I'm so fascinated by prison breaks is that, going back to this question of being saturated in technology, it seems so impossible now. Like the idea that if you go to prison, you're going to break out and you're going to get away. It seems so impossible. But back in the day, they were breaking out willy-fucking-nilly.
You just dig out with a spoon. Or somebody brings you a cake with a crowbar baked into it.
Yeah, exactly. And that actually works. And also, the only response from the prison guards is like, hey, can I get a piece of that cake?
Yes.
You can bring the cake to the prisoner as long as I can have some.
Do you get conjugal visits in a mental institution?
I would think not, but I have no idea.
If you call the gang rapes conjugal visits, then yes.
Yeah, did Tim Robbins get conjugal visits in Shawshank?
He did not.
He escapes on the 3rd September, about 10 years later. So he is seen in the town of Woodland in Yolo County, muttering and mad by an acquaintance of his. Yolo County, Yolo, of course, being young person speak for you only live once, is a pretty amazing place for a murdering psychopath to be escaping to. He's seen by an acquaintance, and then on the 14th of September, literally 10 years to the day, his body is found on the train tracks in Healdsburg, on the train that would go straight to Eureka and then to McKinleyville, and he has committed suicide by ingesting strychnine and then apparently stabbing himself twice, once in each side of his chest to, quoting the newspaper, hasten the job.
He could have gone back to the institution. Got a free meal.
So when I got to this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a bummer. I've told this awful story. He murders his whole family, and then the paper heavily implies that he basically, on his way home to the site of his horrific crime, killed himself, presumably out of guilt.
Yeah, right.
But, October 9th, 1920, about a month later, the body found on the tracks in Healdsburg was of an unidentified man, was presumed because of location and timing to have been Hans Kier, but was not. And Hans Kier, for all we know, he would be 124 years old, but he is still at large.
He's the Zodiac killer. Damn.
He's still at large. He was never found. Never found.
I'm a little concerned about that.
Yeah. Maybe he was Zodiac killing and, consuming the life force of his victims, and that's why he's still alive at 124 years old.
I mean, the question is, was he actually insane?
I mean, doctors certainly thought so. Who knows? I suppose it's possible that his parents had done something just horrific to him, but he certainly seems to have been insane.
I mean, I don't know. Insane people don't usually have the mental capacity to plan an elaborate scheme like breaking out of.
Right. Right. And now that we get to step back a little bit from the tragedy of him having killed himself out of remorse, let's talk about this assertion that he had, or whomever this actually was, had committed suicide by ingesting strychnine, rat poison, but then had stabbed himself in either side of his chest. And by the way, I failed to mention this before, no knife was found near the body. You could say, oh, sure, some hobo on the train tracks came up, found the
This is some Jussie Smollett shit.
Found the dead body and was like, looks like a good knife. I think I'll take it. Or he absolutely did not, or whoever this person was, absolutely did not kill themselves.
I mean, I think it's a pretty strange leap to make that this guy killed himself. It was just the worst cop on earth.
Right. Well, it's a pretty strange leap to make that one would have sort of the pain tolerance, mental toughness, and wherewithal to stab yourself in the chest, I guess the right side of the chest, so you don't get to the heart on the first stab. You stab yourself in one side of your chest, and then you stab yourself in the other side of the chest. The pain of it, the injury of it doesn't cause you to drop the knife, doesn't cause you to fall down or scream or anything.
The pain was so extreme, he went and buried the knives so that nobody else could do it to themselves too. You know, that's what happened. That's how the cops knew it.
Like you said, worst cop ever.
I mean, I'm sure the cop actually was the one who stabbed him. Somebody knew what happened.
Or he kidnapped the loved ones of the police and the newspaper man and forced them to come up with this absurd story so that he could be dead and go on and live his life. It just doesn't sound plausible at all. Drank strychnine, stabbed himself in both sides of the chest. It was a suicide, but there was no knife.
He's a genius.
And here I'm going to let the plot thicken a little bit more. And this is just rank speculation, by the way. So, of course, when something like this happens, this notorious murdering teenager, this, the devil's own Kevin McAllister, Beelzebub's Macaulay Culkin, murders his whole family, then goes to the mental institution, escapes 10 years later, then fakes his own death, whatever this supposed suicide murder was that happened on the tracks. I mean, the question you ask is, well, geez, did he get recaptured? Was he ever found? What became of him, right? I could find nothing further about him, at least not certainly. I will tell you this, though. In Calgary, Canada, in 1940, there was a doctor and his family, his wife and children, who died in their home from gas poisoning, presumably from a leaky, rusted gas pipe in the basement of the home. But their expired bodies were discovered by what the newspaper calls the caretaker of their property, a man named Hans Kier.
Wow.
It may not be.
He reminds me of a certain person who used to live in a tool shed behind a certain other person's home.
Oh, man.
Did you have Hans Freer living in your backyard?
Oh my God, he would have been too old. But you know what? Apparently,
nope. That man was 125 years old.
Apparently, Hans Kier is not like the most uncommon of Danish names. When I said rank speculation, I truly mean that I have no idea at all, and
I also made that up. So
I have no evidence at all that the Hans Kier in Calgary, Canada in 1940, who was a caretaker of the entire family that died from gas poisoning, is the same Hans Kier, is most likely not the same Hans Kier. However, I just want to say that if you were going to run away to never be found from Northern California, if you didn't go to Mexico, Canada seems plausible. And murdering entire innocent families is already sort of your brand, right? So, just a coincidence, I guess.
He's just playing the oldies. Playing the hits.
Oh,
the chart toppers.
Gosh, the chart toppers. The chart toppers. That is dark. Niall, can you lighten the mood for us a little bit?
Oh, man. Have you heard this? Yeah, we should play this little song. You know about how so there's the convoy of protesters up in the Canadian border.
Oh, right, the truckers, right, the protesting truckers at the Canadian border. Yes, I do know about that.
Some gay porn star has like a rock song.
What?
And they've been blasting it to interrupt it. It's just about sucking cowboy dicks and stuff.
Wait, this is real?
Yeah, this is real.
Oh my God.
Hold on, let me see if I can get it on my phone. Hold on.
Wait, the song's about sucking cowboy dick? Is that what you just said?
It's called, hold on a sec. This is pretty good.
It's like freedom isn't free. It's just like the currency is unexpected.
It's like folks like you and me. Hold on.
Suck a cowboy dick.
It's called like
for
Ramrod
the
or something.
USA.
Hold on, Ram. Yeah. Let me tell you what some of the these are just a little breakdown of the lyrical sort of content.
Please.
A loud guitar riff. 18 naked cowboys in the shower at 18 naked cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch. A voice screams.
Wait.
They're removed from the chat before they can continue the next lyrics. Big, hard, throbbing cocks wanting to be sucked.
Wait, what is this song called? Just so I can look it up on it.
Ram Ranch Resistance.
Is this?
It's a porno metal song.
Is this available on Apple Music?
Let me see. Yeah, maybe. Hold on.
Ram Ranch. So it's not the truckers playing this. It's like the Canadian Mounties.
No. It's people trying to interrupt their protest.
Those very well-mannered Canadian Mounties in their red jackets and Smokey the Bear hats are blasting gay porn metal at the poor truckers. That's what's happening?
Yes, that's what's happening. Yeah, it's the Mounties. They all just 69 and cartwheel.
In case anyone was wondering whether we're living at the end of days, the answer is yes.
I found the song.
Well, I don't think we could play it because I don't have the rights.
Naked cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch. Big herd throbbing cocks wanting to be sucked. Cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch.
Okay, wow. This is amazing.
So it's a good song.
I think fair use is up to 3 seconds, right?
No, I think it's like 7. No, you're allowed to, as long as it's in the news, you're allowed to do it. Fair use is, as long as you're doing it with commentary, you're allowed to play it as much as you want. So because this is a current
news story, I can actually have an excerpt from Ram Ranch in this episode of Kinda Murdery without getting sued by a gay porn star?
Yes.
That's what you're telling me as my official legal counsel?
Yes.
All right, great.
That's what I'm telling you. It's a good song.
I mean, I don't know where we can go from here, honestly.
We can only go one place, and that's to Ram Ranch to suck 18 cowboy cocks.
Oh, there's a cock for each wheel on the truck of the striking trucker. Oh, boy. All right. Well, for Niall Madden, I'm Zevon Odelberg, and this has been Kinda Murdery.
Ta-ta.
Kinda Murdery, The Emerald Triangle, is created, researched, edited, produced, and hosted by Zevon Odelberg, with opening theme by Niall Madden and art by the Gin of Lang. Available now on all podcasting platforms. If you like the show, please subscribe, review, and tell your friends. You can find us on social media at Kinda Murdery or email at kindamurdery@gmail.com.